if you're concerned at all with weight management for various reasons of your own, and there are many valid reasons to work on weight management, and there are also many valid reasons why your weight doesn't matter at all. So what I'm about to say has nothing to do with body image, nothing to do with diet culture, nothing to do with body positivity or negativity. It's simply this. If you struggle with compulsive nibbling, or you find that you're eating a lot in between meals and you don't want to be, you want to be in more control over your food intake where you feel like something is going out of control. So this is for the people who feel like they need extra tools to control meal times and not nibble throughout the day unnecessarily, with no benefit to the body or the psyche. And so this is really, especially if you have ADD, ADHD. I have ADD, and what I notice is I lose track of time very easily. Not just that time has passed, but it's like I can't remember when I last ate unless I keep track of it. So where I can't be as intuitive as I would like to be is when I've last eaten and when I need nutrition. I don't want to feel like the urge to nibble has more control over me than me over it. That's not a fair play. It's very stressful psychologically to feel like an urge or an impulse or compulsive habit has control over one. That's very stressful and hard for somebody psychologically. And so it's not about limiting your calories. It's not about any kind of restriction. What I do, there's certain things I do that are less intuitive because I struggle to use my intuitive nature to help me with this. I've tried and tried, and I just need to use certain tools. So I use an app to track what I eat, and then I literally time myself. So if I eat 32 grams of protein, which just so you know is like a very substantial, that's half my day of protein. If I eat by lunchtime 32 grams of protein, and let's say I had lunch at noon, I don't need to nibble. There's nothing my body needs until 3 o'clock onwards. So I will set an alarm for 3 o'clock. So I know it's been 3 hours. If I need something, I can have it. I'm allowed to have a snack. So there's no food restriction. There's no calorie restriction. This is just about helping me with my kind of ADD and the urge to nibble. It's like a little nervous urge kind of thing. And it's something that I can easily control with some tools, with some help. And while there are some intuitive ways where you can get in touch with your body and figure out hunger cues and fullness cues, those are things you can learn to the extent you can. But those of us who have something like, ADD or ADHD and maybe some other conditions, I just know my own condition and how it impacts me is I lose track of what happened when. And so I need to institute certain things that are not as intuitive. So when I talk about intuitive medicine, it doesn't mean you just kind of wing it with everything. There are some sensible kind of guidelines, sensible, helpful tools you can use. But if you have the urge to nibble, my best advice to you is to track what you eat and when. I use an app. The app won't help me track when, except it'll break things out into breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then snack. And that's somewhat helpful, but for me, I do have this constant urge to be doing something. It's like a nervous tick or a nervous habit. And so for me not to fall prey to that, which is something that preys on me, it doesn't help me in any way whatsoever. If by lunch I've had for me, half my daily intake of calories and 32 grams of protein. By lunch, that's a substantial amount of food. So it's not like I'm starving myself. I eat well within a healthy range for my height and weight. Because I track things, I know exactly what I'm having. So what I'm talking about has nothing to do with restriction, nothing to do with limiting anything, and everything to do with healthy eating habits. So, and this is what helps me because of my, neurodiversity, so to speak. So this is for you if you struggle with that constant kind of compulsion. It's almost like you need a pacifier in your mouth from babyhood. It really goes back to something like that. It's just like this nervous thing that can calm you down. The chewing has a calming effect for some people. And but at the same time, you've had all the food you need or want to have, and it just gets in the way of your life to always feel like you need to be nibbling on something. So if that is your issue, I suggest, again, using an app because it's super easy to track your food with an app because everything's, so many hundreds of thousands of people have input data. So if you pull up a food, it's more than likely in there with all the nutrition stuff, and it'll track your protein, your fat, your carbs, and help you just at least understand what you're doing. So for me, that helps enormously. And I can't, as it turns out, be as intuitive about, the amount of food I have or what's in it. That's hard for me. But I do know with some research and some guidance what I do need to be intaking each day to stay stabilize and maintain health for myself. So that's how I use the app. And then for timing, so that I don't just nibble through the day, which I can still maintain my weight and do that. But what the problem for me is, I don't need to be nibbling all day. It interferes with my workflow. It interferes with other things I want to do. It's like this constant urge mechanism coming in that I would like to calm down. And when I put a timer on I just use a timer on my phone, so if, for example, just by way of example, if I eat at noon and I've had half my day's calories by noon and half my protein intake, there is I'm not starving myself to set a 3-hour timer so that I don't need to even think about food until 3. It's very soothing to my system. I can just, if I feel the urge to eat, I just know the alarm bell has not dinged yet. And this is where I'm just like a mouse or an animal in a study. The bell hasn't rung, so it's not time to eat. And sometimes we have to work with tools like this if we're susceptible to urges and compulsions that just don't help us out. So even though I do believe in using intuitive nutrition, understanding what the body needs on a nutrition level, there are some hardcore devices and tools I use to keep myself from hurting myself, doing something I don't want to do. So those are my suggestions. Again, it's tracking your food on an app, super simple once you get used to it. Just find a really good app. Find one that you can work with easily. And if you miss a day, so what? Who cares? Just do it the next day. There's no punishment, but just keep trying to go back in and track, and then time yourself, especially if you're working and you have this compulsion to nibble. Set an alarm so you don't go to the kitchen for 3 hours. And you'll find that it's just a compulsion that comes and goes, comes and goes. It just as much as it comes in, it leaves. And you don't need to fall prey to it. And so for some reason, just setting an alarm helps me because I can then say, yes, I feel this compulsion, but I haven't heard the bell yet. I am like a lab rat in some ways. And, because we are animals at the end of the day, and we are trainable at the end of the day, a kind of training. And I'm never hard on myself for this. I just know it's something that I can't seem to control. It's very human. Tons of us have this. And why not use a tool? So I'm throwing it out there for those of you who need help with that. Take care.